Bonjour, Kinamagi and Nene Ireland Indigenous, and welcome to today's production of Social Studies Television. Today's episode, the Colonial Geography Review. All right, we're going to begin today's lesson by just reviewing some of the things that we know about geography in the colonies and the role that it played and where people settled, what kind of jobs they had. And then we're going to tease as well the assignment that you're going to work on through the day tomorrow. It could be something that you want to start planning for today, but there will be time provided during class tomorrow. All right, so early settlements developed based on geographic, economic, and cultural factors. In the case of Jamestown, once they had tobacco in that region, there is a reason to keep it going. So people came there. And then once you have an established place that's making money, more people want to get a little bit of that junia as well. Plymouth, on the other hand, was more of a cultural thing, and particularly a religious part of their culture. They wanted to establish colonies where they could practice the religion as they viewed it and chase out those who disagreed with them. People didn't automatically start moving in like to, Kentucky or the deep into the Ohio River Valley initially, because there were things in the way, such as, the Appalachian Mountains. The 13 colonies are going to develop into 3 distinct regions. One part of this is based on the geography, one about climate, and then once you go from those things, you start breaking down into other parts. Scroll past a few of the slides here. This is your, we're going to come back to this slide. This is at the end. This is what you're going to be working on tonight and tomorrow. And let's talk about the colonies. Southern colonies, those are going to be Maryland, Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia. They were founded for both religious freedom in the case of Maryland, but also the desire to make a profit from the crops that could be grown on its large plantations. Georgian was also intended to provide a second chance for people in debtor's prison. In those days, if you owed money, they threw you in prison. Not sure how that paid off your debts, but whatever. Yeah, I have some research to do. Geography influences, and also in this case, geography should include climate. Tobacco and rice grew well here, and later cotton would become the major crop. Some colonies like South Carolina had a good harbor, and some like North Carolina didn't. And that's why South Carolina had Charleston, the large port city that plays a huge role in American history. And also people tended to settle along rivers, just like, we did as Anishinaabe. Growing cash crops was the key part in the South. Things like tobacco, indigo, and rice. You should remember all 3. There were big plantations and small farms. Small farms would be run by, individual families where they would grow what they needed and then sell some of the excess. Lumbering was a role in some spots. And when you had big harbor like Charlestown, which is now Charleston, South Carolina, you would get some trade there. Some push factors, reasons that people moved out to other parts of the colonies. Population in Virginia had grown and land had become scarce. People want to own land, and when you can't, you go someplace you can. People had been put in debtor's prison in England, so they were kind of pushed all the way across the Atlantic. And Catholics saw themselves as being treated unfairly in England. Remember, England is under the control of the Church of England at that point. Well, the king is the head of both, really. But Catholics didn't find their life to be quite fair, so they were glad to come over here to Maryland with the Calverts. Pull factors, things that would make people move to other parts of the southern colonies or from England. Land was available. It was good for growing cash crops. There was hope for religious freedom, as it was nowhere near as strict overall as you would have found in um, the New England colonies. And there was hope for a better life. All right, looking at the New England colonies, going all the way back up north. This is Massachusetts is the big one here, but we also had New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island. The original settlers came here for, quote, religious freedom. And when they say that, it was the freedom to practice their religion how they wanted. Not everyone that comes over to the New England colonies is a Puritan. There were some who just coming along for the ride. They wanted some farmland, although the New England colonies aren't ideal for large-scale farming for cash crops. It's acceptable for smaller family farms. Geography, winters can be very harsh. We hear a lot about nor'easters even to today, where they get, 2-3 feet of snow at a time. And they get a lot of windstorms over in that region in the winter. The land was rocky and not great for farming. You have quite a bit of mountain space in that area. Climate was healthier than that of the southern colonies. Because it's colder, some of the insects that could bring diseases tend to die out in the winter. And again, settlements grew along rivers and the ocean. People, for some odd reason, need to be around water. Economic activities, there were some small farms that would sell their excess locally, but fishing, lumbering, and shipbuilding are by far the three biggest ones. Fishing, you have the Atlantic Ocean, and everything from fishing, getting lobster, to going out and whaling. In fact, that's where the motivation for the old NHL hockey team back in the day, the Hartford Whalers. Push factors to the separatists and Puritans have been persecuted for the religious beliefs in England. This pushed them out of England. Some people were expelled from Massachusetts Bay for not following Puritan rules. I'm looking at you, mister. The poor soil of the Massachusetts Bay Colony caused some people to seek better farmland. And pull factors, they did at least have some farmland, and there was hope for religious freedom. Now going to the middle colonies, that's going to be your New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. Religious freedom does exist a little bit more here. The area that is now Manhattan was known as New Amsterdam, and there was said to be 18 languages spoken there at that time, including and there was diversity, including America's first Jewish immigrants. There was farming land in this area, although there are still mountains in parts, particularly if you're going through Pennsylvania. But there was still rolling areas where you could easily farm. Geography, there are many rivers and other natural resources. Good land for farming. Climate is still healthier in the southern colonies because you do have a winter. And they, again, grew along the rivers and ocean. Seems like a repeating pattern that people live near, rivers in the ocean, or rivers and lakes, rivers and ponds, or rivers and anything that you can use to safely drink. Economic activities, we had farming, we had some manufacturing. Push factors, Quakers have been persecuted for their religious beliefs in England and New England. So they moved there, and one of the famous Quakers was William Penn, who has the colony named after him, Pennsylvania, literally translating into Penn's Woods. There was a lack of land and opportunity in countries like England, France, and Germany, so they're coming here. And Ireland has had a rough go of it at several points in history, so it was a motivating factor for the Irish to come here as well. Pull factors, good farmland was available, there was hope for religious freedom, and religious and ethnic diversity. I promised at the beginning of this video we'd talk about the skid here. And now you can do this independently as a one-person show, or you could have people in your home help you out. Create a short skit about your assigned settlement. In the skit, group members must take on the role of an early settler in the settlement. All right, so I'm going to let you choose, and you can choose any one of the colonies that we've talked about, whether it be Jamestown or just Virginia in general, or Massachusetts Bay Colony, or Plymouth, or New Amsterdam, Georgia. You're going to get some choice in the matter. Your presentation must mention where was your settlement. So if you're doing Jamestown, you should say it's in Virginia, which was in the middle colonies and near the Atlantic Ocean. You're going to tell me about what push and pull factors influenced the development of your settlement. So why did people want to leave their other places and come here? And what was your settlement like? You may want to use some of the remaining time during this class period to do research on this topic, as it will be kind of important. And then your presentation must include all group members in the planning and presentation. If you're doing this at home with family members, you still get to be the boss. You're the one in the class. You run this show. One visual, such as a map or a drawing. Now, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and be based on accurate information about your settlement. Important note, be prepared, and I might ask you some questions privately on it. So you have some options when you do this. You can create a flip grid and do a video presentation here. If you're not so much into performing, you could create a Google slide, and you do that by going in and into your drive. And let's see if we can do that real quick here. So let's go to my drive. If I want to do a new, I could go new, Google slide. And at the end, make sure you share it with me at mireland@sidechipschool.net. All right, there we are. If you do a paper version of anything, feel free to send it to me. If you're doing a regular old-fashioned newsletter using Microsoft Word, or doing a PowerPoint using Microsoft products because you have them at home, you can email them to me, your final product, at mireland@sidechipschool.net as well. For the video portion, I will have the Flipgrid set to 10 minutes. So I don't want anything longer than that. Doesn't mean it has to be 10 minutes. If it's 5 minutes, we're good. Just make sure that you're answering the questions here. That is the key part right here. We want to make sure you answer this one. I do encourage you to be creative and have a little fun with it. If you're doing a Google slide or a PowerPoint, do a little research, cut and paste some pictures, and see what you have on those skills. We will provide time during the class period tomorrow to work on this. But if you're recording a Flipgrid, you are best suited to use to do that when you're not involved in a Zoom, as there are some issues with trying to record as Flipgrid while on Zoom. The cameras won't be quite available to both of you. This video will only be posted under this assignment, but there will be a reminder that you can come back and watch this video. In fact, I might even post this video in both Google Classroom posts so that you have it available to you. If you have questions or ideas for spinning this in your own way, please don't hesitate to ask. So you're going to use the remainder of this class period to work on this project. There will be a copy of this document within your Google Classroom on both today and tomorrow's posts. Tomorrow will be a good is a time where you can write this. It will be graded, as I do want to be able to evaluate your knowledge of why people went to settlements, and you're choosing that one. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I look forward to seeing the cool stuff you guys come up with. Remember, if you're not a person who likes to be on camera, using Microsoft Word or Google Docs and putting pictures in it is acceptable. Same thing with using a PowerPoint or Google Slides, that's acceptable. If you're going to use like Word docs or PowerPoint from Microsoft, make sure you email me a copy of it, mireland@psychchipschool.net. If you're doing a Google slide or Google Doc, once you have it in your Google Drive, make sure that you share it with mireland@psychchipschool.net so that I can evaluate and give you a grade. I look forward to seeing what you have. If you have any questions, we'll be in touch. Have a minute, and Bumblebee.